In here, please.
Damn good coffee and hot.
Oh, yeah. I like going, oh, yeah. Good morning, folks. It is Monday. I hate that day. Monday, July 11th, 2022. It is Mikey's birthday. Yay. Happy birthday to my buddy Mikey. Doesn't feel like a Monday to me. It feels like a Sunday because I played a gig on the beach last night, and I'm not used to those beach nighttime gigs on Sunday nights. We usually do them on Saturday nights. It's feeling like a Sunday. I can't believe the weekend went as fast as it did. But it was a great and fun weekend, and I hope you had a great weekend too. Thanks for being here and sharing your morning with us. Now, this week starts something a little bit different. We're going to be having guest hosts, guest co-hosts all week long. The fabulous Cat Martin, just known simply as Cat to our little Twitter community, will be joining me around 9:30ish this morning. Looking forward to having her on the program and co-hosting. Basically, Kiara is taking some time off, but I obviously, or maybe not so obviously to some people, I don't think she's coming back. And I don't say that like in a negative way. I think listen, she put in maybe 100 days doing this stuff. Maybe 100 days. Maybe not. Anyway, you do it for a while and you get used to it, but if you take a break from it for a while and you get your mornings back and you get your life back in some way, I could just see her saying, "You know what? Well, I'm not getting rich over there. I'm not, I'm spending a lot of my time." And let's just face it, she's not all that happy with the whole world not seeing things the way she sees them, as far as religion, spirituality, Jesus. So I'm not really expecting her to be back, but at the least she will be gone about 5 weeks, and so we'll be trying out lots of co-hosts in the meantime. Uh, so this week we have a good lineup of co-hosts, and today my guest will be the award-winning podcaster from the Behind the Bits podcast, Scott Curtis, which is a comedy interview program, and Scott is a stand-up comedian who got into it very late in life, 53 years old, I think, when he first started doing stand-up, and then started podcasting right around the time of the pandemic. Scott's a friend and somebody I know, and look forward to just reconnecting, touching base, see what he's up to. He'll be with us probably around 10. Everything I say is probably. Sometimes people don't show up. Sometimes they're early. Sometimes they're late. We're kind of loose around here. It's a loose ship, mind dog. You run a loose ship over there. Listen, I'm no Captain Queeg. What can I say? We are brought to you. What happened to my govs? I lost my govs. Hold on. We are brought to you by Governor's Comedy Clubs. Man, I'm just a terrible, sloppy little uh, podcast host on. I'm not an award-winning podcaster, obviously. I don't have what it takes to win the big awards, to be Mr. Podcasting. Anyway, we are brought to you by Govs, and we have some things in the works with not only Govs, but other regional comedy clubs that are part of a network, and we are going to be in talks with them this week. And I'm really excited about something that hopefully I'll have more news about in the coming days, maybe weeks, about some big things that might be happening here. So, um, wanted to take a look at Govs before we get started here. What's happening at Govs this week? By the way, after this program every day, if you're so inclined, Tony Walker with Knock 'em Dead Comedy is the follow up on Gov's comedy. Let's see, Governor's Main Room this week. July 14th, laughs on Long Island in the Giggle Room, special event. Special event. And what makes it special? MC the Queen of Queens, Marcy Green, and headliner Mick Thomas will be there. So that's July 14th, which is what? It's what, Thursday? I think Thursday. Yes, Thursday. I'm just all over. And then also Cigar Night in Governor's on the Patio, which is a good place to have cigar night outdoors so you don't stink everybody out. And also All-Star Comedy Show in the main room. And then this weekend, TJ Miller, the 15th and 16th, TJ Miller will be headlining the main room at Gov's. I got to get TJ Miller on this program. That's a doable thing, and I definitely should get on that. You know me, I'm kind of lazy. Now, in Bohemia, at McGuire's, which is part of the Govs Network, on July 14th, the Great Long Island Laugh Off special event, which is different than the one that's over at Govs. And um, it's a laugh off competition. The opening round, the longest running and most prestigious comedy contest on Long Island, returns for another great year of intense competition to see who's Long Island's funniest new talent. Of course, I couldn't win that because I'm not an award winner. That's like for people like Scott Curtis, maybe maybe Carl Mann could if he comes over here. I could enter in one of these competitions and he can win. Well, I'm expecting Carl to come here in October, and that would be good. And then this weekend over at McGuire's, DC Benny, who I'm not familiar with at all. DC Benny's storytelling style of comedy has delighted audiences over 35 years as a Brooklyn-based performer. Why have I not known him? His third appearance on NBC's Showtime at the Apollo has over 18 million YouTube views. Wow. And he has 3 stand-up specials, including Comedy Central Presents, Dry Bar, was a season finalist on both seasons 2 and 8 of NBC's Last Comic Standing. So he's been around, man. Why don't I know him? But you should know him. If you're a comedy fan, you probably know more than I do. Everybody knows more than I do. And Belmore, last but not least, the brokerage over in Belmare. Again, July 13th now, the great Long Island Laugh Off special event. A lot of these laugh off special events going on at the Gov's chain this week. The Great Long Island Laugh Off competition of 2022 continues. Now, this is the opening round. It's the same, I guess they're going to do it at all 3 locations, and then the final big World Series or Super Bowl of Long Island comedy will probably be at the main room in Levittown. And then this weekend, Mark Riccadonna. Mark Riccadonna grew up in an artsy jock outside of Youngstown, Ohio. At age 17, like a bad independent movie, Mark moved to New York City in search of himself. I know where I live. I could find myself pretty easily and happiness. He pursued theater at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, joining the company after graduation. Soon after, Mark stumbled upon stand-up comedy and found success as a storyteller, performing throughout New York City and on the road. Mark Riccadonna is there this weekend. So that's what's happening in Gov this weekend. If you're on Long Island, please do check it out. And put up or shut up. I think this is, I should know. Uh, I should know who put up or shut up is. It's better when I have names because I don't remember. But he says Mark Mercadona rocks. You should have him on the show. I will try to get him on the show. This is part of something I'm definitely working on. Getting the comedians that are performing at all the clubs to be on the program in the morning. It's been like pulling teeth a little bit, to be honest with you. Mornings and comedians, it's a tough mix. Not like peanut butter and jelly, I'll tell you that much. Yeah, I thought it was Don still. I didn't want to guess because if I get it wrong, I'm just the wrong guy. I'm wrong. I'm always wrong. Today, as I mentioned, is Mikey's birthday. Mikey, we had a birthday bash for him on the beach last night. Wild, really fun night on the beach, and perfect, absolutely perfect weather to be performing on a beach uh, last night. And so it was a fun gig, but now it's feeling like a Sunday morning for me more than a Monday morning, except I'm starting to get into the idea that Monday is really here. Um, just some brief notes coming up later in the week I want to let you know about. Uh, Friday, I'm going to start with Friday all the way at the end of the week because this is, I think, a big one. Jess Paul, the lovely and talented uh, actor and film, I mean, an artist. She's an artist who creates. Well, she's a great graphic artist as well as actor, but she's also somebody who creates. I want to call it fake food for movies, television, for advertising and things like that. She's just fabulous. I've had her on my show, the Mind Dog TV podcast. She'll be my co-host for the day on Friday, but joining us will be the fabulous and um, unpredictable Andrew Andrist. Now, Andrew Andrist is a comedian, I believe, who has a special out called "The Last Shot of Chemo." It's called "The Last Shot," and I think he's got this weird proclivity to masturbate outdoors. Anyway, he'll be joining us Friday. That should be an interesting program. Look forward to talking to Mr. Andrist. Haven't spoken to him in a month and a half now. Anyway, so that's the Friday show. Now, Thursday night, David Edward, Dr. David Edward, will be on the Mind Dog TV podcast, the evening program. And he claims, big claim, to have found Atlantis. Now, if you listen to me at all, you know I'm a huge skeptic when it comes to mythology around Atlantis. Um, but I am really interested in. Now, I say I'm a huge skeptic with the mythology around because the mythology is just huge. It's magical. It's too much to believe in my opinion. But I am very open minded to the possibility of a civilization that happened before history started dating these things that possibly could have been destroyed somehow in um, cataclysmic event, maybe a flood, maybe an earthquake, whatever. And I'm definitely interested in what might have been the start of a civilization that might have been very advanced for its time. I don't believe there was 10,000 years ago, 15,000 years ago, there was a civilization with the kind of technology, on the level we find ourselves here in the 20th first century. I don't think that's worth taking really seriously. And I know a lot of people do. I'm not sure where Dr. Edward falls on that, but I know he has worked with Jimmy Corsetti. I saw Jimmy Corsetti on Rogan probably about a year ago, and I lo a lot of the things he said were more grounded, more based in the kind of ideas that I have about it. In other words, there might have been the roots of an advanced civilization that got destroyed before it became the kind of clusterfuck that we find ourselves in today, um, with basically putting more technology towards weaponry and killing each other than we do for any really noble, good purposes. So, there's that, and, so I know he works with Jimmy Corsetti. I wanted to get Jimmy Corsetti on. I don't wanna say that this is the next best thing. Um, good morning, Craig. Good morning to everybody over in the chat room, by the way. I didn't say good morning. They had Twitter, it killed them. Maybe it was they had Truth Social, to be honest. I don't wanna go down that road. Do I wanna go down that road of, Mr. Freak Out over on Truth Social, starting to feel the walls, closing in on him and just, like, lashing out about everybody? It's funny, it's so predictable. Uh, I have to go down that road now just a little bit. Trump, losing his mind on Truth Social, calling Elon Musk a bullshit artist and he's a, con man. Trump calling another billionaire a bullshit artist and a con man is just, I mean, that's so deep in irony. No, irony? Is it irony? It's just so fucking hard to hold on to. Is this Trump calling another billionaire bullshit artist and a con man? But he's so predictable in that he's talking about the January 6th stuff and he's saying nobody, they're not allowing anybody on my side to testify, which is fucking hilarious because absolutely everybody who's testified so far has been part of his inner circle. His daughter, his son-in-law, his handpicked attorney general, his lawyer's consultant, his campaign advisors, his White House staff. Every single person who has testified, most of them have even said they would vote for him again. These are people that were his loyalists. Jason Miller. Everybody, it's like you couldn't get more people on your side to testify if you were John Gotti with guns and money. And he said, "Well, nobody on my side is testifying. The only people who have testified are on your side. Your lawyer just testified Friday. Your personal lawyer, not your personal lawyer, the lawyer for the presidency, Pat Cipollone, nice Irish name there." So the idea that nobody's telling his side of the story is just preposterous. And he's freaking out about that, but he's feeling the walls closing in, and he wants to declare that he's running again. He should just do it. Everybody knows he's going to make a run for the presidency. But I really think he he's kind of out of options here. There are people still within the Republican Party that, if he won the nomination, would vote for him again. But I think a lot of Republicans are saying, how did we get ourselves behind this fucking clown? And isn't there somebody who represents us and can still own the libs? 'Cause that's important. That's the most important thing, own the libs. But isn't just a complete fucking clown show. I think a lot of people are I think his act is worn very thin with a lot of people in the Republican Party, and a lot of people would actually like to see him go down in flames. That's all I'm going to say on that. I don't want to get too into the politics, but just watching him have this breakdown. And the other part, before I move, I'm not quite done with that yet, is this idea he wants people to believe that Cassidy Hutchinson was lying about everything she testified. But the most important thing to him, and this is something nobody in the media has touched upon, and I think this is insight into the man. He's really upset about the ketchup, the ketchup story, and He can't understand. See, he obviously is capable of rage. We know he's capable of rage. Anybody who doesn't know that man is capable of rage has not been paying attention. But his ex-wife, the mother of his children, testified under oath and put in a sworn affidavit that he banged her head against the wall and ripped her hair out by the roots with his bare hands because she recommended a doctor who did his hair plugs back in the late 80s. And then he raped her. That's what she testified to in court. That's what she put in. We know the man is capable of rage. So to understand that he's watching something on television that's not going his way and then throws a hamburger and ketchup against the wall is not a far-fetched thing for anybody to believe. He wants you to believe he's not capable of that. But here's where it gets really weird for him, because and nobody's touching on this. He said, in refuting Cassidy Hutchinson, why would she help clean it up? Stick with me here. Why would she help clean it up? In other words, that's the maid's job. But she walked in and saw what was happening and saw the maid dealing with this crap and started to help. Trump has no understanding. Why would you help somebody? Why would you help somebody who's beneath you? Well, she's just a maid. You're an assistant administrator to the chief of staff of the White House. Why would you help somebody? That's his claim. Nobody in the media is talking about that, but that is super insightful into the person Donald Trump is. Why would you help somebody who's below you? You're going to get down and do actual work for somebody who's not on a human being? You're going to help another human being? Well, it's proof positive he has no concept of empathy. Can't feel it. Can't understand it. How could somebody actually get down and help somebody clean up ketchup off a wall? That's what you're dealing with, folks. Anyway, today's show is brought to you by Wake Coffee. Are you awake? Wake Coffee, and you know this if you've listened to the program. Wake Coffee, there it is, man. Wake Coffee is an instant, and you know that I'm not a big fan of instant coffee. I'm a brewing guy, but there are people who live much more busy lives than I do, much more hectic lives. People who don't have the time to say, my wife made a wee pot of coffee. I need to make a new pot just for me. Like with me, with my whiny little, oh, I need strong coffee. So a lot of people don't have time for that. And Wake Coffee, if I may, can I show you some Wake? Maybe I should. If I could share, where's my Waker? Oh, here it is. Um, I'm going to share this. Waker Coffee is really the best uh, instant coffee. It's bringing it back. You don't need any special. You just put hot water in a cup, and you can make it strong or weak based on how much water you put in. That's a simple thing, right? And why can't I find my Waker Coffee? Oh, here it is. I'm just like blind, deaf, dumb, and all that stuff. Wakey Coffee, we want to make your day a bit easier. Quality instant coffee and teas are your effortless solution for delicious drinks at home or on the go. Now, I want to look at these people. Aren't they happy with their Wakey Coffee? It comes in these little bags. You just put it and with some hot water, and you're ready to go. Now, I want to tell you about David, this geeky little founder. Uh, I guess I shouldn't call him geeky. He's a sponsor, but he's a geeky kind of guy. Now, this is his New York City apartment. Now, Kat will be able to talk to us about New York City apartments, I'm sure, and how, there a lot of New York City apartments. If you're not like Madonna or somebody with like millions of dollars to spend on an apartment, kind of small living spaces, and sometimes even just a coffee maker there's no room for it. Look at this guy's got his microwave on top of the refrigerator. It's David was this geeky little fella's name here. Should I stop calling him geeky since he's a sponsor? Man, this handsome geek. David David came up with the idea of Waker Coffee while living in New York City, juggling a hectic schedule as a full-time undergraduate student with a full-time job. David relied on coffee to fuel his daily routine, and who the fuck doesn't? Uh, However, he quickly discovered that frequenting coffee shops, now that's an elitist thing to do, folks. You don't go to fucking Starbucks. And making coffee, now that's the normal thing to do. In a cramped New York City kitchen was complicated. Was complicated? Not really complicated. You put more water in the machine. You put anyway. Time consuming and expensive. He honed in on a solution that wouldn't require additional equipment and fast to make instant coffee. What a genius idea, instant coffee. I wish I would have thought of it. Anyway, Waker Coffee, the link is in the description. It's good coffee, good instant coffee, not shitty instant coffee like, I don't know, say Folgers Crystals that Craig is drinking out there in New Mexico, or uh, whatever other instant coffees you have out there. Powder in a cup. This is actual freeze-dried beans, coffee, real coffee beans. Easy to make, and you're gonna love it. Now, if you sign up today, using our link, you're gonna get 20% off your first order. You can't beat that crap, folks. Quick instant coffee. Anyway, let's get rid of that. Let's stop the screen. There you go. Get out. Now, speaking of waking up and needing coffee, our first guest host in the big guest hostathon. That's what I'm calling it, a guest hostathon. Is a friend. You love her. You appreciate all her talents. She's a mixologist and a singer and a funny lady and friend. And let's welcome in Sugar Cat.
Good morning.
Morning. Look, you seem awake.
I'm awake. I set an alarm and everything.
Wow. So, it's not as bad
Wait,
as you thought it would be, is it, to get up?
no, you know what? I'm not used to talking to people the first hour and a half of the day.
Me
So,
neither. I don't
yes.
I would shoot somebody if it weren't for this.
Mm.
If somebody was just talking to me in my house, I would just say, "Go away," and get into
You even
fights.
say go away. I just give dirty looks. So that's like,
Um,
why are you speaking to me? But good morning, starshine. It's so nice
oh,
to see you.
Sid, we got you to sing on the program
That's it.
already.
I
All
did
right.
it. I'm going.
But
Leave
you
studio.
got to do ooby waba nooby bop bop a nooby, whatever the hell he does.
You could
Um,
do that part.
yeah. New York City apartments, is it pretty small if you're not super rich, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can maybe find a slightly bigger price for, your range, but you got to be Madonna, like you said. You got
Yeah,
to
yeah.
you got to have the disposable income. But you know what? The sad thing is the super rich don't even use these apartments very much. So they sit here vacant.
Yeah.
So
Now,
my plan would be to get in one.
you grew up on Long Island, right? And so
I did.
you know where I'm coming from. And the idea of buying an apartment
Mm,
is like, what? You buy a house, you rent an apartment. New York
right.
City, you buy apartments. Can you explain
Well,
that?
yes, I can. Because maybe about 10 years ago, we said, oh, let's buy an apartment because it's better than renting. But in all actuality, you don't really get the apartment. You get shares in a stakeholders kind of thing. And you own shares in the building and you're responsible for fixing up the building when it needs to be fixed up. That's what co-ops are. So you're paying your mortgage, but you're also paying a co-op fee, which basically is rent, and you're also paying tax. So it's almost like you're paying more for nothing. It's beautiful. It's you know it's not
Well,
ideal. You
yeah,
have to have a lot of money. Yeah, yeah.
it
If
doesn't
that makes
seem
sense.
it doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem right at all. But
No.
it's like if we can relate to the common man and common woman out there, if out there in the middle of America, it's like buying your own trailer, but still having to rent the land that you put the trailer on and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Like you own what's your interior, you own what's inside, but if the roof goes on your co-op, they'll charge you more maintenance to fix the roof. So it's like owning an apartment is not really owning much of anything. You're just basically getting more responsibility. And yes, you can turn it over and you can sell it, and everyone says that's how you make money, but there are too many vacant co-ops in this city for anyone to be turning them over. It's not, in my opinion, but I'm not on that level of like, I'm not looking at $1 million co-ops or anything.
Now tell
So,
me a little bit about your story, because I know
oh, sure.
you have a background in publishing, but right now you're out of that. You're like semi-retired or fully retired. What's your deal?
Hey, don't say that R word. Oh, retired,
Uh,
semi-retired. Yes, yes. I
yeah.
like to use the word bum. I am a bum. No,
No, no.
if you,
Bums are people who lay on the sidewalk and bite your shoes as you walk by.
I
That's what bums
mean, you know, you didn't see what I did yesterday, so.
are. uh,
What's my story? Is that what you're asking me?
Well,
Okay.
kinda. I mean, how did you get out of the rat race? Because everybody wants that life. Nobody
Right,
wants to go to work for, especially unless it's not work, unless it's something that it's your passion,
right.
something you really wanna do. People would love to just, I don't know,
Well,
sleep
I
late.
I think with mine it was the circumstances. As I don't know if you heard, but in 2020 there was a pandemic. I don't
I
know.
heard
You
about
remember
it.
this? Okay, yeah. So that is the reason I left my job. And then I just didn't want to go running back to a corporate job so quickly. And it's now been over 2 years, and I still haven't run back to a corporate job. I mean, maybe a sensible person would. I'm not advising everyone should not go back to work.
I am.
Um, well, you
I
know what? Most of the people that I've become friends with in this past 2 years are really, really supporting me not working.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
they're not literally supporting me not working. So at
I
some
get
point,
it. Yeah, yeah.
you get it.
Yeah,
The
I
idea
think.
is nice. Yes.
And
But
I am finding a similar kind of thing with me, because I was in the corporate world. I was in many
mm,
worlds, but
yeah, you've
before,
had a long and storied history, I think.
yeah, but before this, I was in the corporate world and making good money. And when I left that, it was way before the pandemic. So I was kind of a seer, a
Mm,
a prognosticator of some, but I felt like something was coming. I definitely did,
mm,
and I said, you know what? I don't want to be forced into this. I'm just going to do it on my own. And so I have it's still a constant struggle to find ways to create income that don't
mm.
require me going to a job.
Sure.
Or ever going back to that world. So, and it's still a struggle, but I do it. I'm on it constantly. It's worth putting effort into that kind of thought and that kind of energy, rather than feel like you're making somebody else rich for something that you don't
Mm.
even care about. You know?
That is part of the problem with being in the corporate world because you're so distant from so many parts of the business, and then you're obviously not getting the profits. You're so low on the totem pole as an employee. Maybe if you're an executive, you get some profit sharing or something, but
Yeah.
it's
Even
it
then,
doesn't it doesn't go to the
the
employees, and
the profit sharing doesn't fill you with passion for whatever the product is. You got to
no.
really. So in publishing, what was your job? What did you do?
Okay, well, let's see. I went into publishing in 2003, and I started as an executive assistant because I had not worked in the field of publishing before. I came from other places. I had like you, I've had other non-connected types of jobs.
You
But
were the
in 2000,
CIA.
I mean, I can't talk about that. Come
I
on.
know, I know. Neither can I, because there's really nothing to say, but people I
Yeah.
said that once, and now everybody thinks, "Well, you got a lot to s" that's not a story, it was really not the least eventful job in my life. I'm sorry to interrupt, continue.
I worked for a guy who worked for the CIA once, but I've not directly worked for the CIA.
Oh.
Oh, um, so I would say I fell into publishing quite accidentally in that when I applied for the job where I worked at the corporation I worked for, I didn't even know they had a publishing division. I thought I was getting a job at a retailer, and I went in for an interview as an executive assistant, assuming I was going to be working in the retail book business. And on the interview, I learned that it was a publishing job and that it was. So I just had to quickly pivot and pretend I knew that they had a publishing arm, and I just sort of went with the questions. And the guy that was interviewing me was into music, so we sort of bonded about the guitar. And I had no idea why I was there, and they hired me because I'm charming or something. I guess I don't know. They
You
hired
are.
me, and then I told them maybe 2 years later I had no idea that there was even a publisher at this company. So that's how I got into publishing. I thought I was taking a job in corporate retail because prior to that, I had worked at Borders Books, I had worked at Pottery Barn, I had worked at a craft store. I'd done all those things in my early career, like while I was in school. So I thought this was where I could get the job. So that's how I got into publishing. It was a complete accident. I thought I was going to go work for a major book retailer. And then I was there for 17 years. And, when you stay at a
Wow.
company for a long time, I got lucky. I worked with some good people who said, you can do this instead of that. And I worked pretty much on all aspects except for editing because I have terrible grammar and um, acquisition. I didn't do anything with editing or acquisition, but I did everything else. I
Wow.
ran their slush lunch meetings. You know what slush proposals are? They're like the crap that people mail in. That was fun. I ran their launch meetings, which was like how they, launch the books for the season. I did all kinds of stuff, clerical stuff, copyright, permissions, contracts, like you name it, I did it. And by the
Wow.
time I left there, I was an inventory analyst, which is just as boring as it sounds. So,
Yeah, I don't know, that just knowing that title, I would not
yeah,
want any part of it.
yeah, it was
But
quite boring. It was quite
17
boring.
years is,
Yeah.
several lifetimes for me, like,
Hmm.
in the business world. I don't think I ever just trying to remember the longest job I think with Hair Designer TV, in the hair and beauty industry, 9 years, that was my
Mm.
top, and I had quit several times within that 9 years, and to kinda let them talk me back coming back, but, I guess I'm not a commitment I'm discovering this about myself right in this moment. I'm not a commitment kinda guy. I mean, my
Well,
longest relationship is the current marriage I'm on, which is, 14 years. In September, it'll be 15 years. That's
that's a
shocking to
commitment.
me, but I took a year off for bad behavior.
Okay.
The thing
Okay.
is, I got separated from my wife, we were really separated for, like, 2 days, and then she came over to the house I rented, and so we w it
Oh,
wasn't a real separation,
okay. That's when
but
you bought those Hawaiian shirts, right? Am I
yeah,
right?
yeah, yes,
Yeah, I
that's
remember
right, you
that.
pay attention. Um
Sometimes.
Yeah, so I got an idea for you though, as
Okay.
far as money making consultancy from home for people who are in self publishing who need, because I
Yeah.
have questions about how to.
Oh,
I'm fucking up my book big time.
why? No.
I still haven't gotten a new cover back, but
Okay.
even beyond the cover, just formatting, and I'm like, the editing came back, and they wanted me to change so much that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna have to rewrite half this friggin' book, and maybe I'm gonna change the order around, and so there's different kind of editors I did not know about, like
Yes.
content editors, line editors, and all that kind of stuff. I wasn't
Yes.
aware of that. I'm just
There's
a
yeah,
guy.
there's
I'm just
yeah.
a guy.
But you have a story to tell, so that's more than a lot of people have.
Yeah.
Some people want to write a book and they have nothing to put in it, but they still want to write
Right,
it. At
but the
least
point
just
I'm making is your information, your insight into how publishing works is worth some money to dopes
possibly.
like me.
Well, when you put it that way, yeah, of course.
Yeah. And you wouldn't have to do a whole lot other than talk about what you already know and from
Right.
home. It's like a phone call. Yeah, now send me Venmo me $150 for that. Thanks.
I mean, you could be right. I do know people in the industry too that, that maybe want that kind of thing for their authors. I know some agents and everything, but I don't know. I think I feel like I'm steering hard away from anything like that, which is, I don't know. Maybe I'm making a mistake. Maybe I'm an expert and I should be charging people. I don't know.
Well,
What?
yeah, and you know what? I don't want to tell you what to do, but I mean,
No, please.
I'm always
I
looking for ways to cash in on doing as little as possible with what you already have. Like,
right.
and if you have that expertise, that just and it doesn't have to be like you don't have to be CEO of Random House to have the kind of expertise I'm talking about. Just
Right.
because there are people I knew absolutely nothing about publishing a book. And everybody, you just go on Amazon. It's so easy. And then you find out, wait, no, it's not. It's
Yeah.
formatting. Everything matters. Word count matters to your format and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a
You're right.
nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
All
not
right. Well,
easy.
we'll talk about that. Let's talk about that
All right.
whenever you want.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So when did you be, obviously, you've always had an interest in potent potables. For 20, Alex, potent potables for 20. Were you a bartender? Did you just learn it on your own? Do you get like what what
I've never been a bartender. I would say it would just come from the love of the
the
booze.
product, the the
But
the art, the craft?
the art and craft. And I would say the cocktail making stemmed from not having a job. Just because I mean, as you know, I don't know how much it costs out on Long Island to go get a gin and tonic or something, but it's way more expensive. And then when you
$14 last night at the place
uh,
I played.
yeah, I mean that's so because I wasn't working the past 2 years. I mean, not that I wasn't drinking before 2020 because I was, but I wasn't making as many things because I would go out and I would spend my corporate money on a stupid $17 cocktail and then have another and another and wonder why I'm tired and broke. I don't I don't know. So I started making them and then I don't know. You know what? I have a lot of time on my hands as you do too. I haven't figured out how to monetize it or to make it fulfilling completely, but I'm trying to do that crap that people say, which is do what you love and do what do what makes you happy. And cocktails are a big part of that. They
Yeah,
really are.
yeah,
It gives me a little bit of joy to make a nice drink. It really does. And I take a picture of it because that's what everybody does. I can't drink anything without tweeting it, for God's
that's
sake.
definitely monetizable. Maybe
Ah,
I'm too
yeah,
much of a capitalist in this regard, and
maybe.
because I think everything is monetizable if you're creative enough in your approach to it. You'll find people that you could put
Right.
together a simple either recipe book. I don't know if they even call it recipes in the mixology world, but
Mhm.
or YouTube channel or all that kind of stuff. All of it, and it's all kind of definitely monetizable. You'll find an audience who loves that stuff. So yeah, do what your heart tells you to do. That's my advice. Follow your heart.
My heart tells me to sleep late.
Yeah, mine did too. I never thought I when I first started this, I was like, I'm out of my mind because I was never a morning person. Even I would get up for when I was doing the 1 o'clock shows. I would get up at 12:30, quarter to one for a 1 o'clock show. Just roll out of bed and like be groggy as hell, and have to do serious interviews with book authors. That was the business edition. So I was talking to people in business about business, making a lot of money in podcasting doing it because that's the best way if you're in podcasting. You don't have to have a big audience. All you have to do is have something that sponsorship that ties into the business subject that you're talking about,
Right.
books or all that kind of stuff. And so I
Well,
made with
sorry.
one guy who was doing franchises, and I put him together with a guy who was doing franchise insurance. They struck a deal for $40 million and they sent me a consultancy fee for putting them together, a matchmaker fee that was in the tens of thousands of dollars. And so
Wow.
I was like, oh, this is a good way. Best way in podcasting to make money quickly. But I
Yeah.
hated that, and then I started doing the morning show, and I said, "I'll never make it because I haven't seen 8 o'clock in the morning for 100 years. I don't know what that even feels like anymore. But I got used to it. You know what? It actually, and I think you'll find this after today. You'll have more energy today than you've had in several days because you got up early and you engaged your brain before noon.
Okay. You could be right. You
I
could be
know.
right. Because I don't get an early start. I
I
just don't.
know.
And it doesn't feel depressing to sleep in anymore, though. It's not like I don't wake up. I just go to bed really late too. So I think maybe it'll kick up my whole schedule, and maybe I'll go to sleep a little earlier, and then I don't
Yeah.
know, get the day.
Maybe.
You know what? I'm fine with the being a person of leisure. I don't know how I don't know how to do the monetizing thing, as you said. Um, but I also don't believe that you can just decide, and maybe I'm wrong. I never believed that you could just decide to do something and then do it. I thought I really didn't.
You're
I
wrong.
didn't believe,
I
yeah,
can
I
tell
didn't
you you're wrong.
believe that. I didn't believe that until the last 2 years, where I'm starting to think like, this is what I want, but I haven't done anything. I just have the desire. So maybe I should do something that steers me in that direction. And then I'll feel competent, and then I'll feel like I can go for it, because that people call that imposter syndrome, which
I
I
got
don't,
it
I
big
don't,
time. But
yeah,
I, I'm I'm able to temporarily delude myself for an hour at a time or 4 hours at a time. In last night's case, on the stage, that I don't suck, and that it somehow.
but you don't suck. That's the thing.
You,
You don't. You've put work into it. You've gotten somewhere. You don't suck. That's the thing I never did. I always thought, oh,
I
sure, I
fake
could,
my way through
you know,
life, Kat.
I've seen you.
Everything I do.
No.
No, I am not saying I don't. That's not false humility. I know.
Okay.
Some of it was intentional. Like I know I'm bullshitting everybody. Like last night, and last night was one of the first times my brother ever saw me with the band. I know he was looking at me like, "Wow, look at my kid brother up there. He's a rock star." And I'm
Hmm.
thinking, any guitar players in this crowd know what's that hack doing on the stage? But uh, and everything I've ever done. So just deciding you want to do it and doing it. And I had experience in radio, but when I decided to do a podcast, it was at 6:30 at night, and I did my first podcast at 8 that night. And then
Really?
within a week, people were calling me and saying, "You really know how this works? Can we give me some advice?" And I was like, "I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, man." But oh, so you think I know what I'm talking about? Well, yeah, sure, I can give you advice. And basically, faking it. I'm a fake. I'm a phony,
Okay.
but I'm a
So
good phony.
how do you sleep at night? Lying to people all day. You sleep good? You sleep on your stack of money? You
I've
sleep.
never slept well. I never in
Okay.
my life. I've never slept well, but it's not because of guilt about me being a phony. Because that's I was born to be a phony in that way. But that's who I am. That's not why I don't sleep well. And every position with the Cablevision thing. When I became an executive for Cablevision, I hired myself. I walked in off the street. They were I was doing interview after interview with the guy, and he was stalling. And finally, I just said, "I'm going to go there and start working and sending them bills." And I sent
Yes.
the bills and went through the promotional thing. Like they sent me to executive training and all this stuff. And within 6 months, I'm an executive in this company. I'm like, did you ever see How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, Robert Morris? That's who
Mhm.
I was. Like I was on my way to becoming CEO, like from a little how-to book. And
Yeah, but how am I supposed to do that now? They have the internet, they check things. That's like a here's my piece
no,
of
they
paper
don't.
resume thing, right?
They
They
don't.
don't.
They don't. They absolutely don't. They see it and they say, "Wow!" And who's got time to go check it? I don't. You know what? I'm not. Oh, man, it sounds like I'm encouraging people to lie on job interviews.
You kind
It,
of are.
I kind of am. But I've hired people. I've been in that position because I did make it to executive levels in lots of different companies and been the guy doing the hiring and looked at resumes, and I never checked any of them. I kind of tried to get a feel for the person. Are they bullshitting me?
Right.
Some things you accept that they probably are a little bit. They're probably exaggerating to some extent. Um, and you're taught to ask these like ridiculous questions, like what's the thing you're most proud of in your previous position? And I know because I exaggerated
Right.
some of my success stories. I know people are, but you look at them and say, how much are they really exaggerating? Are they being Do they believe it's true? Do they feel like they were competent in the last position? Will they be a good asset? Don't, but you know how much effort it takes to go do a whole background check and all that stuff and find out all. It's too much. I just want to hire a good person, fill that spot, and get rolling with it.
Mm.
And that's not uncommon among executives. They just want the position filled yesterday.
Yeah.
But I don't want anybody to really actually go for a job. I want everybody to work for themselves, do what they want to do. That's what I'm really saying. Fuck the job interviews. That's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Should I get good at that again? I think a consultant sounds good.
Yeah.
I
I would I do have two things that I would monetize yesterday, and that's the
Okay.
consultancy and
Mhm.
a drink channel, a drink book, whatever it is, but find a
Mm.
way to make because you're really good at that. You're entertaining. You have personality. Everybody loves you. Now, and I know that feels. You know, I know how you are. That's you can't. That's hard to accept. But you are delightful, and people do love you. And they will tune in to watch you make drinks and copy along, and they will become loyal. Ask ask the chat room. They're all back me up on this. Everybody's backing me up on that, right? See,
Yeah, I
that's
can't
so
see the
cool.
chat. Let's see.
Oh,
Aw.
wait, can I make the chat visible to you? I think I can.
I think
Uh,
so. In the side, I've seen it before on
yeah,
the last rights.
settings, general audio, guests. Guests can see viewer comments. There you go. Can you see them
Hey, there
now?
we go. I see private chat and now I see comments. Yay. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Oh, there's a lot of them. How do you keep up with this?
I know, I know. That's why, and people get mad at me if I don't comment back to Adam. Like, you know how many comments there are in here? It's like,
Yeah.
and there are many different rooms, so people don't even see each other. It's a mess. But, um,
Look,
mute. Oh God, you
oh, I
have
was just gonna say I appreciate that you had me on here. At all. I mean, at all. That's how far I am into the what do I have to offer? I'm just like, why do you want me on your show?
No, I know, I know. I believe me. I relate to
Yeah.
everything you say. I feel that
Yeah.
myself. Like, why would anybody tune in to listen to me talk about crap?
So
Um,
how do we quiet that? How do you've gotten past it? How do I quiet that thing that tells me not to? I mean, first of all, what is that? Is that my self-doubt? Is that my parents? What is that I'm hearing in my voice that in my head that says,
you know,
uh,
David
you're not
Letterman
good
and
enough?
Johnny Carson had it big time too. So Elvis had it. It's just it's the natural tendency to say there are a lot of people out there. I'm one person. Are they seeing through me? Is it all like
Mm,
Uh, but it's like a pool. You can't just stick your toe in. You have to dive in. You'll get
mm,
once you start, you get used to the water. Everything feels right. But it's getting in. That's the hard part. That's the ambivalence. That's the I'm afraid to get in. But once you're in, it's like, oh, I can deal with this. And when you get through it on your first one, you're like, wow, that was kind of fun. I enjoyed that. I don't really give a shit what people thought about it. I enjoyed it. I mean,
mm.
and I hope other people. And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't care if people are pissed off. Of course, I want people to enjoy it. But if I enjoyed it, I'm going to try it again. It's like anything you like. It's like my first hit of pot. I was like, wow, that wasn't bad. I think I'll try that again. And then they just kept doing it and keep
Well, then
doing it.
that's I guess that's what I'm finding. You just keep doing it, and I
You
would
need
say
somebody to
even
push you into the pool, which is me. That's why I'm here.
I will say a lot of people who I've become friends with in the past couple of years have been really good at trying to encourage me to do something different. And I think sometimes the people in your life, it's not that they don't think to encourage you, but they just don't think they have to. I think that's what it is. I think the people that you're around all the time don't think that you need encouragement. And I think strangers and nice people have been more encouraging to me than, sorry, family, anyone in my family, if
Yeah,
that makes any sense. If
no,
that
it
makes,
makes perfect
like
sense.
they're
And
too close to you to, you know,
yeah,
I
having
don't
two wives, I can tell you this. My very
know.
my first wife was super supportive. Because I met her on a gig. She was a fan, and she was a kid, and I didn't know she was a kid. That
Uh-oh.
since she was in a bar, she was of age. Turned out she was 17, uh, and I was 23. Um,
Oh, okay. It's not so bad.
yeah, yeah, it
I
wasn't
mean,
that
it's
big,
right.
but it's illegal.
Right.
But
Oops.
I didn't know that, and she was with her sister who was just of age, and I did not know that at the time. But I ended up marrying her. She was super supportive. She to the point where um, she took like a stake in my success and was kind of like a manager of sorts. Now,
Mm,
my current wife could care less about it. She doesn't understand anything about what I do. She doesn't come to gigs. She doesn't care about it. She can't understand why I would even want to do it. And I
right.
feel like if I were young and that were the situation, that would kill my dream. That would
Mm,
kill my passion. That would kill everything that I do it for. The people you're with are not into it and don't understand it. It feels like it's hard to put your drive into it when people feel like, what the hell is that? That's just
mm.
pipe dreams and nonsense. So
Right. Every time I think of, I'm excluding. I'm saying family. It's a generic term, obviously. I don't mean the wonderful man I live with. I'm talking about the way I grew up. I'm talking
right,
about the way I was raised.
right,
To not expect too much. To just everybody can do what you can do, kind of thing, and just go get a job and just don't ask me for anything. That's kind of the mantra that I grew up with. We
yeah,
was in a big family. I was one of many kids. My mom took in foster children. So if we were like alive at the end of the day, that was a successful day. It wasn't so much like, how are you feeling today? What do you want to work on? It was like, oh, you're here for dinner. All right, let's eat. Go wash up. Good night. It's maybe that's part of this. Like, so you just do what people people tell you to do in a way and just
right. Did you ever
that's
stop and
depressing.
ask yourself, what do I want to
Yes,
do with my life
finally now.
now?
Finally.
But not
Finally.
when you were younger.
No.
I thought that was this generation, not this generation, my nephew's generation. He's gonna turn 40 next year. He was at my gig last night. I was in shock that he's gonna turn 40. But I remember when he was 5 or 6, asking him what he wanted to do with his life, and he was, of course, you ask a 5 or 6 year old, I can't think seriously like that. But I remember trying to drill into him, you have to find something you love and you'll be happy. This is the key to a good life. Find out what's going to make you happy and then
Right.
pursue it. And neither him or my son at the time, when I asked the questions, neither one of them had any clue, and I was frustrated by that. How could you
Mm,
not? Because I remember wanting to be a rock star when I was a kid. I mean, of course, it never happened, but
right.
I definitely wanted to pursue that, and that drove me into music. And I made a decent living in music my whole life, and never regretted a single moment of the stage time.
Mm,
I regret the booking part of it. That's always a hassle. That's what people don't understand too. I think is when you pursue your passion, your dream, whatever it is, there's going to be parts of it that totally suck, and you have to be
mhm,
prepared for that. I think a lot of people, first time they run into the sucky parts of it, and the sucky parts can equal the amount of time that is great, the
mm.
reward part of it, and that can scare people off too. So,
Yeah. I think
but
you also have to have the resource. When I was younger, I didn't have the financial resources to say, "Oh, I'm gonna drop this and focus on something else." It was like, go to school, get a degree. While you're in college, you're gonna work, work, work because you don't have a scholarship. You're working for it. And then when you get out, you're kind of on your own. Now, I went to school for psychology because I thought this was going to be like, people like to talk to me, I can help people. And I will say, like, halfway through that education, I realized psychology was a lot more of a bullshit than I
Yeah.
thought it was before. And
Yeah.
I was a little disenfranchised, disillusioned, whatever the dis word is, for that. And I just was like, well, okay, I got a degree. It'll help me get a different type of job. And I don't know. I feel like I just took whatever came along. And if I was running out of money and I had to go somewhere else, I would go get another job. More like, so I guess having enough money to live was my motivation, probably until I was my early 30s. That would be it.
Yeah.
It would
You
be
know,
just survive, just pay your rent, survive, whatever you got to do job wise, 2 or 3 jobs, whatever. And so, like, it was until my early 30s that I started to think maybe I could do a career, even though it wasn't in my major. Um, and that's when I sort of got into corporate life because they paid better, but not because I loved it at all. Not at all.
yeah, I
Who
know.
loves that? Yeah.
So, yeah, and I totally get the idea of feeling like something is bullshit because I was a clinical therapist for a while.
Okay.
As strange as it seems,
It does.
me helping people and being
No, well, that I can see. I mean, that I can see. I just need to say that I did the worst job trimming my bangs. I've stopped touching my hair. Go on, please.
no, but I felt like at some point the veil was lifted and I'm like, this is all bullshit. People. I felt like I was charging them for work that they were doing sometimes, and I found myself bored by stories. People were telling me stories, and I'm like doodling stuff on a pad. Like, I hate to tell you, but your life is a fucking bore. That's why you're not happy. You're a boring person. And I'm thinking about when you leave, I'm gonna get so fucking stoned just to just to have something funny to think about because you bored
Hmm.
me to tears. That's I hope.
That is a real concern, and I thought about that too a little. I realized other people's problems are not. They're interesting to me on some level, but
If
then
they're interesting.
if they're right, but then I started to think about, like, so then what if these people keep coming back to you and they haven't even tried to fix themselves? Like the opposite thing of you. They're doing all the work. I'm just thinking I'm going to be beating a dead horse with someone. I'm going to resent everybody. I'm not going to think these people are even worth helping. And that's a stupid reason not to do something. But I really did think that. I was like, I'm not going to care about these people's problems.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
also thought,
this
as a young person, how do you help someone with their problems? 22, you get out of school, you're gonna help an adult with their marital problems. You're gonna help a person who doesn't have money to, like. It just seemed like such a I don't know, like an odd leap for a young person to be like, oh, I'm an expert in this. I would think you go into it now. You go into it, at my age, even though I don't really want to do that either. I like
right.
people, but I
I
don't
know.
love
I know. Yeah. But speaking of psychotherapy,
them.
our guest has arrived, and
Oh, great.
he probably needs some. I'm just Scott Curtis is the host of the award-winning Behind the Bits podcast. Now, this podcast is not award-winning; it's award-losing. I'm the host of an award-losing podcast, but Scott is the host of an award-winning podcast. I just want to say that he got friendly with our friend Jamie Dykes for a period, but I believe they've had a falling out, and I want to get so psychotherapy wise, I want to get to the root of their internal um, discomfort with each other or their falling out. So let's welcome in the host of the award-winning Behind the Bits podcast, Scotty, not too hotty.
Hey, hey, hey.
Good morning.
Good
Looks
morning.
like I needed to adjust my background a little bit here.
No, you don't.
All right.
Your
All right.
background is fine. Your background is in
You,
corporate
you, you
sales.
can you
Oh,
can
oh,
see
I thought
you
you
can
meant
you can see the edges.
yes. You're an edgy guy.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
an edgy comic. What's happening, Scott? Haven't
Oh
seen you in a
man,
while.
I tell you, I am about as happy to be here as
Oh, you turned black. Oh,
anybody can.
uh, well, that's good. What does that say about David Lynch on your microphone?
Directed by.
Oh, you are directed by. So,
Yeah.
Scott, before I get into this, why you hate Jamie Dykes' guts now and want him dead, um, award winning. How do you go about creating an award winning podcast? Because I nobody recognizes my great talent whatsoever.
Well, first of all, you find an award and you lobby heavily for it and stuff the ballots because it's by vote, and that's how you win. That's how you beat Dax Shepard.
Oh, you beat Dax Shepard?
Yeah.
Wow, my hat's off to you, but I was never on, but it's off to you anyway. I
So so what I did is I actually held a telethon for votes. This is back in 2020, and I just kept going until I felt like I had enough votes to win, and then I got up the next morning and guess what? I won.
so you're a whore. You
Yeah,
are.
you got it.
All right. I could do that. I could
Ah,
be a whore.
he's a motivated whore. That is a
That's
good
right. That's
motivation right
right.
there.
Now,
I
I
wanted
guess
that
I have
gosh
to
darn
find an
award.
award. Yeah, I have to find an award that fits me, and I don't even know what I am. I haven't identified exactly what I am to seek out an award for what I do. Because it's not like a typical podcast. This is more like a morning radio show, and it's not on terrestrial radio. It's not on Sirius XM yet, or whatever that is, Sirius XM. So I don't even know what I am. What am I? That's a tough one for awards and stuff too.
You're kind of a shock jock, I'd say.
I am a shock jock.
Yeah.
I'm a shocking jock.
Yeah.
Who's not a jock anymore. An old
Did you
has
notice
been.
I wore black so that we'd match?
I did. Thank you very much. And you
Yeah.
you shaved your head so we would match. And you're wearing glasses so we would match. I know
There
you
we
don't
go.
normally wear. I know you have a full head of hair and normally don't wear glasses. You see fine.
Well,
I didn't get the
that's the
brief.
old me.
That's the old you. So, tell me, your last time I talked to you, you had just moved to Alabama. You making the adjustment? You're an
Yeah.
Alabamian. Alabaman is
Yeah, it is
Alabamian.
still an adjustment. I mean, it's kind of a long story, but we just kind of picked up and left, and didn't have any kind of a plan, a home or anything to go to. So I took a job down here and stayed with my son for a couple months while my wife sold the house. And then she came down, and then we thought we had a townhouse because I mean, the big thing we're doing is downsizing. We don't want as much space or as much stuff, so we got rid of a lot of stuff and a lot of space. And we couldn't find, I mean, we almost had a house and it didn't appraise right, so we ended up in an apartment for 6 months. And boy, that's a lot of fun. I
Well,
hadn't been in an
you're talking
apartment
to the
since
wrong person. Kat's in New York City, and she's an apartment dweller.
yeah,
And
I mean, I'm not built for it. And when the last apartment I had, I think I was 22, and I'm 58 now. So if that gives you any
damn good looking 58, by the way.
thank you, thank you. I So the apartment was okay. We stayed there for 6 months and way overpaid for it because we got a luxury apartment. And then we finally got a townhouse, and we're in it. We've been in it since I think March,
All right, now
February, March, something
I'm a
like
little
that.
confused here. Now, Alabama and luxury don't necessarily they don't feel like they go together.
Yeah,
This is the New
Huntsville's an
York
odd
bias.
little duck as far as Alabama's concerned, because first off, if we go out in a group, there will be people from California, New York, DC, St. Louis. I mean, just all over the place, but nobody's from Huntsville because Huntsville's pretty much a relocate type of town. So yeah, it's booming. It's the fastest growing town in the United States. It was voted #1 in USA Today for best place to live. So
Wow.
yeah, and that was after I got here, so I can understand that.
Yeah, no, I definitely could see it. There's a comedian in town. They have a comedian in Alabama now. One.
Yeah,
Um, your son is a rocket scientist. Is there a work for rocket scientists in Alabama? They got a big rocket program down there.
yeah, they're I mean they really do.
Wow.
So, do you know the story of Huntsville?
Uh-uh.
So, after World War II, we acquired some scientists that were of German descent,
Right. Yeah.
and
Paperclip. Operation Paperclip.
yeah, and and they actually started the space program here, and so the whole Huntsville is pretty much founded by ex-Nazi scientists. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Huntsville, the most PhD holders in the world.
Yes,
Well,
I held a PhD once.
I know. It was Carl's.
Yeah.
Right. Uh, wow. That's cool. I learned something here today. And that's always good. For me to learn something is a major, major, major accomplishment. I
Would you
learned
like me
something.
to write it as your temporary co-host? I'm going to note that you learned something
Yeah,
today.
learned
Yes,
We're good.
something.
yes,
Thank you.
check that one off.
Got that.
So,
One of the coolest moments was, I think it was before we moved down here. My son took me on the base, which is an Army base. FBI is there, and NASA's there, and a couple other things. And he took us around, and he's working on the Artemis thing, the new moon thing. And they were putting together a rocket for that. And they're in Huntsville. And he said, "You're not going to be able to see it. I can't even see it." And we go around the big building that they're putting the rocket together, and it was wide open. There was security all over the place, but it was wide open. We could see it. So it was pretty cool. It didn't have like the stuff on it. It was just the insides of it, but we could see it when we drove by twice to take 2 looks at it. So that was pretty cool.
did anybody there take you for an alien?
Most people do.
I know. I get it all the time. He's tall and bald. He must be from another planet. I
There's
don't
something
know.
wrong with that guy. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So downsizing in Alabama, I guess you haven't had to buy any slaves yet.
Not yet. No.
Okay. Okay.
Shock
Uh,
jock.
I know. I'm doing my shock jock stuff here, getting all the shock jock stuff out of the way. Uh, Jamie Dykes, you hate his guts. You want him dead?
No, I think that's kind of water under the bridge. I mean, he talks some shit about me. I talk some shit about him, and I think we kind of made up a little bit. The only thing that really freaks me out a little bit is I got to see his legs,
Oh my God!
and I don't know if you've seen those before. He
have.
put a picture.
I have too. Yeah.
I mean, he has got the legs of a 12-year-old boy, and I don't know how he can even hold himself up. So I worry about him. That's why I don't hate him. I'm worried about him. Does he have something? Is there, from the waist down, is there something wrong with him? Did he not develop?
He
I don't
definitely
know.
is a little boy with a beard in a lot of ways. He strikes me as that because I saw him when he was so excited. He got a new pair of sneakers for his birthday about a couple of years ago, and I was like, oh, he's a little kid. He's
Yeah.
a little fucking kid.
So what were they, like a child size 6?
Yeah, I don't know, Nikes, whatever they were. He was just excited to be wearing his new sneakers. It's like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I remember that. I was 12 when that happened.
I wonder if all the drugs just kind of shriveled up his legs. Everything else is fine. They're just affecting
I
the
don't
legs.
think everything else is fine.
I don't.
He
Yeah.
falls asleep on podcasts like at a drop of a hat. I think he's either got narcolepsy or he's on heroin.
He's a sleepy boy. He is definitely a sleepy boy.
Right. Now, speaking of on podcast, Behind the Bits, and I got the URL going across.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're back in a full swing with production because I know when you moved to Alabama, it naturally slowed down your production schedule and all that stuff. You're back in full swing now.
Yeah, I've got kind of a backlog of interviews, so I've got plenty to go up. I'm going, the purpose of the podcast is to talk to working comedians and people in the industry, and I'm not necessarily looking for the most famous ones in the world. I'm looking for people who are making a go of it and either making a living or at least a partial living at it. So I get quite a few very interesting stories from folks, and it's really cool. And you know this, you you get to connect with people, and as you know, you don't connect with everybody you talk to. some of them, some of them you stop.
Most, I will say most.
Yeah, you stop recording and they're pretty much out of your mind, out of your life forever. But some people you really connect with, and fortunately, I've had a few, a lot of them in the last few interviews that have I've made some really great connections, and that's really kind of a bonus. You know, I'm trying to put out good information for comedians to get better at their craft and get better at actually making money at it, and I'm making some friends along the way, and that's cool.
Right. You seem, maybe it's just recently, but you seem to have a lot more success with the ladies than I do. I mean, the lady, the lady comedians. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's not for lack of trying. Finding them is a difficult thing, and of course, the morning shows. No comedian really wants to get up this early and do a friggin' podcast, a live streaming podcast.
Right.
But you know, I have far more men outnumber ladies, probably 9 to 1, and you know, in every group of 10. What's your what's your secret to the ladies?
Well, first off, I make it a purpose to make sure that everybody is represented on the podcast. So women, people of color, you know, all different sexual orientations and identities and stuff like that. I want to make sure that that's done. And so I'm very purposeful about making sure that I get a good mix like that. Kind of on a serious note, I interviewed a young woman comic from Indiana, and she had gone through some pretty significant sexual harassment during her time as a comedian. And I talked to her about it before we started recording, and I said, I feel as an old white man, I don't have the right voice to be talking about the issues that women go through as comedians. Still, you think it's gone, but guess what? It's not gone, and it's pretty much the same as it always was. They get passed over, they get hit on all the time, and it's just not good. And she told me that, guess what? Old white guys listen to old white guys, so you should be the one talking about it. So I've kind of made it a mission to make sure that when those stories come up, if the comedian is willing to talk about it, then I'm going to make sure that it gets talked about, because it's something that, you know, first off, women have just as much right to be on stage as men. All they got to do is prove they're funny, and they need to prove they're funny to the audience, not other comedians. So that's number one. And second off, they should be safe in what they do. So, you know, it's kind of a torch I'm carrying, because I'm a husband and a father of my daughter's 32. So, you know, she's right at that age. If she was a comedian, she'd be going through the same shit that the other ones are. So that's kind of you know, it's something I took up myself because somebody told me I should and I could, and so that's one of the things I do. And then I would just want to make sure that they have a voice and they get out there, even if they're not having those types of issues. I want to make sure that they are represented on my show as much as I possibly can.
Yeah, me too. That's why I've been I mean, I'm actively looking to promote women in comedy, and so good for you. Kat, are you as shocked as I am to find out that Scott is a white guy?
I mean,
I could have sworn he was like Asian or Indian or something. No,
I just
Indian,
thought
I
he
guess.
was an astronaut. I just thought he was
Yeah.
he was on the International Space Station.
Scott Curtis
That's
would
what
be the perfect name for an
yeah.
astronaut, by the way. Colonel Scott Curtis.
I'm saying that because for a second I thought that was an astronaut when you first sent me the link. I went, "Is this an astronaut?" No, this guy is not an
Scott
astronaut.
No.
That's Scott Cooper, right? Scott Cooper.
I don't know. I thought it was an astronaut name.
My son
I see that you're not an astronaut.
No,
Right.
no. My son applied to be an astronaut, but I don't think that's going to happen because he's in whatever position he's in. They need him to do that, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, astronauts tend to be I don't want to. I'm going to say it. Astronauts seem to be those scientists who are on the dumber end of the science, and so they kind of, okay. You get in shape. We got a plan for you. Sit on the top of the Roman candle. It's safe. It's safe. Just don't
They're
ask Sally
dispensable.
Ride.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's true. I'm not lying about that because I've talked to some people, and I talked to a former head of NASA off the air, and kind of worked that out of her, beat it out of her. Um, so I think it's true. If so, that means your son is smarter than the average scientist or average astronaut,
Yeah,
and
and
they
astronauts got to be good, really good at one or two things. First off, they have to be in that little capsule for
I,
extended periods of time and just live.
mhm.
And then they have to be able to do their job under pretty weird circumstances, floating around and stuff like
I
that.
would
So,
never be able to poop. I can't poop in front of people anyway.
yeah.
Never mind being in a capsule with three guys, and it's like I got to poop in my suit, and then you
Yeah.
know.
They probably don't hang out with each other while they poop and look each other in the
I
eye.
think
I'm
they
sure you
do.
go off. No, I'm sure they
No,
go off.
I think they do. They sit in their suit and let it just happen, and then later on, there's a video of one where a turd escaped one of the suits, and it was floating around in the
Come
cap.
on.
Look
Of
on
course, you
YouTube.
would find that video.
It found me.
Mm.
But and get this definitely in your internet history. You want to go to YouTube and search for turd floating in space.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going to
right.
pass on that. It's nothing I need to see.
Right. So are you still doing stand up yourself now? Or are you
Oh
actually
man, I walked away from that so hard, and now I want to walk back into it. So, I did like one show since I've been down here, and I've been down here over a year now. And I did a few open mics, and you comedy when you walk away from it for a while and you come back, it's not like riding a bike. It's like you got to relearn it all over again. So
really?
yeah, it's not fun at all.
Well, you had an unusual entrance into the world of stand-up comedy because you didn't do it in a club. You did it to an audience who already thought you were funny, right? Do I have
Yeah,
that?
yeah, it was where I worked. So I had been at the same job for, I don't know, 17 years or so. And
Another 17 years.
yeah.
Coincidence. I'm sorry. Cat was
Coinky-dink.
in her job for 17 years. I'm sorry. I ruined the whole flow of that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But yeah, it was one of those jobs, and we had a holiday party every year that I never went to. I never saw the reason to hang out with the people I work with outside of work, so I just never went. And the guy who booked the talent for the show said, "Hey, we've had a magician the last 3 years. We'd like for you to do stand up." And I said, "Yeah, that's funny. I'm not going to do that." And I didn't even think about it. So the next week he bugged me about it again and said, "Hey, we really want you to do this." And I said, "I really don't want to do it." And so I didn't think about it. And the next week he asked me again, and I went home and told my wife, and she said, "Well, you want to do it, so just do it." And I did it. And it was all inside jokes because I've been there forever and roasting the people I work with, just all kinds of stuff that was very relevant to my job and the people I work with. And I did 45 minutes my first time up because I had a lot of material on those folks. So I really, really enjoyed it. Everybody laughed and they said, "Boy, you did a great job." So then I started doing open mics after that and found out that was quite a bit different.
Yeah,
It wasn't a friendly audience and nobody cared what I had to say. So I had to learn how to actually be funny. So that was
yeah.
fun.
How about Johnson from accounting, huh?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
What's wrong with that guy? He's always
I have a
sniffing his
question.
fingers. I don't know what the deal is there.
If you don't mind, how did your colleague know that you would be okay with doing some roast style stand up? I mean, was
Well,
that just your
I've
role at work? You're the cut up kind of,
yeah,
you know?
not necessarily a cut up, just like super sarcastic,
Mm,
and I would like interrupt meetings and just do something stupid. And so I really, really, really like to cut through boredom, and when things get boring, and uh, just basically just putting me to sleep, then I just start speaking up and being a
mm,
nut. So
Yeah.
I I don't know if would be called the work clown so much,
mm.
because it was only certain occasions and when I felt like it, and the rest of the time I was just kind of kept to myself and did my thing. So somebody saw it in me, and so yeah, it was Michael Dunlap. I'll always thank Michael Dunlap for being my the guy that pushed me into stand up.
You know what I
Very
would
nice.
do in those meetings? I would be an arrogant prick and insult my boss, and it always that's how I got promotions. I
Yeah.
would be in a meeting and I'd get pissed off and I'd just call the boss an idiot and walk
Mm.
out, storm out, and
Yeah.
I'd go home and get a phone call. Can you come back? We want to give you a promotion. Okay, and it was a repeating cycle with me. I was talking about how to succeed in business without really trying. That's what I did. That, and I could write a book on how to go into a meeting, insult your boss, and get a promotion like constantly. It was a surefire thing for me. Every time it happened, I ended up. Well, he called me an idiot. He must be smarter than me. Would you like to earn more money for calling me an idiot? Sure, I'll come back.
Yeah.
Um, but we were talking earlier about support and having people. And your wife said, you want to do it, go do it. Your wife is supportive of you going up at work
Yeah.
and doing stand up. Is she equally supportive of what you're doing now, podcasting? Does she get podcasting because she's our age or your age?
Yeah.
And for a lot of people our age, like, what the hell is a podcast?
Yeah.
Right? Is she supportive of?
Actually, so she's supportive of pretty much anything I do. The As far as podcasts, she listens to a ton of podcasts. Not necessarily mine, but she does. She she likes true crime and stuff like that. So she's really in the podcast, and she's actually on a club down here that all they talk about is true crime podcasts and documentaries and stuff.
They
So
are the most popular podcast in the world. People always talk about Joe Rogan being number one. Nay, 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 I say.
yeah,
The number one podcast is, and I forget the name of it, but it is a true crime podcast. I should know the name of it, but and the top 10, I think, are all in that genre.
hmm,
I should do that. I should do a crime in the planning and execution of a crime podcast.
there you
Like
go.
each one would be I'm going to go rob a bank today, and I'm writing out the note. I'm getting my gun together. Gub, put all the money in the bag. I have a gub. No, it says gun. No, it says gun. It's Woody Allen. Anyway, but no, that would be I'm just came up with a good idea for my next show.
There
Anyway,
you go. And you
yeah,
need more shows, don't you?
right. The comedy scene in Alabama, is there one? Is there comedy clubs down there?
Yeah, there's a stand up live, and we've got a small theater called Shenanigans that does stand up, and there's opportunity to get up and do open mics Sunday through Thursday. So a
for a
lot
bunch of
more than South Bend,
PhDs
where I
though?
came
Well,
from.
everybody in the audience is going to be like really smart, so you have to up your game as far. I'm serious. I mean, if Huntsville definitely has the most PhDs in the world, that would be a concern of mine. Like, holy crap, this is a whole different crowd. These are smart people.
Well, one thing I can't do is I used to have a joke where I talked about my kids being way more successful than me, and I mentioned that my son's a rocket scientist. And when I say rocket scientist down here, nobody cares because most of them are rocket scientists or above. So it
Right.
just doesn't that I had to retire that joke. I'm really sad about it. If I go elsewhere, I guess I can still use it. But you know, It's funny, they still like dick jokes, and I don't do them, but yeah, it seems like dick jokes are just the universal language of comedy. So yeah, they laugh at stupid stuff just like everybody else.
Maybe I should come up with a dick joke book. Is there a dick
Yeah,
joke book?
I don't know.
Yes.
They're probably.
You say yes, you have it.
Oh, I don't have it, but there definitely is.
Are you sure? Are you
Did you
sure
do a
about that?
thesis on
Well,
it,
you're in
Kat?
publishing. You should know.
Thank you.
were.
Yes, I did work in I've worked in publishing, and I worked in 2 separate bookstores. So I'm pretty sure there are dirty joke books that
Not dirty
specifically
joke
are
book, just dick joke book.
just dick jokes.
Complete just dick. Dick, 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 dick.
Okay. No, then I'm not sure. Let's get working on that then.
I think that anything to monetize, anything to stay home and never have to leave and get
I'm
money.
with you there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tomorrow my guest is going to be Jeff Dwoskin. You met him, right? Jeff Dwoskin.
I love Jeff.
Well, I'm going to try and goad him into saying some nasty things about you. So if you could maybe
he
just say
might have
something.
something on me, but I got nothing bad to say about the guy.
Fuck.
Damn it. I've never seen his legs, so I mean, he may have a child's legs like Jamie, but
I'm betting he does. He looks a little on the thin side, I have to say.
yeah, I mean, he gave me some advice. We've been in a kitchen remodel since we moved here, and he gave me some advice on backsplash and stuff like that. So it's
Now is he jealous of you and your award?
I don't think so. He's won some awards himself.
He has?
Yeah.
Because he seemed insecure with his constant nobody knows I have a podcast posts.
Well, it's funny. We all take a different tact in order to get people to listen. So he goes with the guilt trip. So you people are supposed to be my friends. You're not even listening to my podcast. That's a great tact. Now my tact is a little bit different. I actually make memes almost every day. I put a meme out about how shitty my podcast is and how bad of a host I am. So for some reason that works for me. People want to find out how bad it is.
Right. Well, I've noticed your memes. They're very funny. I enjoy the kinds of promotion you do, and I enjoy Jeff's promotion too. I try to play along. Sometimes I'm worried that I might take it a little too far because I can go with the joke. But his podcast is very interesting, and he gets some really, really cool guests on there. I think he has a different angle on it. You are for working comedians, not necessarily famous people. I think he's more towards trying to get as many famous people with.
Yeah, more pulp culture. I mean, his latest episode just dropped, and it's Robert Klein. I mean, come on. I mean, there's not a better guest that you can get, and I'm a little jealous of that. But,
me too, but I'm a little because John Pavaramo had Robert Klein on here on his show, and I was really because I started trying to promote that for him, and I was really disappointed that many younger people, and I'm not saying young people, I'm saying younger, and it doesn't take a lot to be younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know who Robert Klein is. To me, he's like on the same Mount Rushmore of comedy that George Carlin, Richard Pryor should be on.
Mm-hmm.
And people below 40, 45 don't know who he is. That's a fucking sin. Pardon my French. That was French, right? Fucking.
Oui.
And it's funny. A lot of them don't, but a lot of them do. It's amazing how many like 20-something comedians I talk to know more about the classic comedians like Robert Klein, Moms Mabley, going way back to the Borscht Belt comedians.
Mabley, holy crap.
Yeah.
Kat, you know Moms?
I do know Moms Mabley, yeah, I do.
Wow.
But I sought it out. When you said comedians know, I thought that was important because comedians who are kind of really into their craft, you can find all that now on YouTube. You can watch the old clips. And I think if you're not a comedian, maybe you're not motivated to do so. But You know,
Right.
Mom's Mably's hilarious, like
Yeah.
pioneer level hilarious. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's surprising. But I was really upset that people I was talking to about it didn't know Robert Klein, because to me, even more than just a stand up, the guy is like a world of talent beyond stuff that like Pryor and Carlin didn't bring. He was a musical, really talented guy,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
songwriter and singer, great actor in whatever he's been in. He was in Rain on Me with Sandler, and he was Adam Sandler's dad in that. And it was like really, and I know he's been in lots of television work as well, but he's just a really, really fine actor too. So there's so much there. It's like this guy, he's an American icon as far as talent goes, and I have the utmost respect for him, and I wish I could get him on. Um, so, uh, behind the bits, I know you have a place that you got to run today. Our time is limited with you, right? Or no? Can we keep you for?
So far I'm good. Nobody, there's nothing on fire at work right now.
Okay, good. So with behind the bits, how often are you putting stuff out now?
Once a week,
Once a week.
and usually on Tuesdays. Sometimes when I get super busy, like I am this week, it's Wednesday.
Uh, Cat's last name is Martin. You got
Oh,
are you still doing your Dean Martin thing?
uh,
what is
y-
that?
so that's one thing that I really miss and I regret that I'm not doing. So I used to do a thing called the BTB Internet Talk Show, which was me and however many guests I had on, usually myself and three guests, and it was kind of just like an improv free for all type of thing, kind of like this, except for absolutely no structure and nothing.
So exactly like this.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Um,
say there's structure here. Uh, okay.
but for some
Sorry.
reason, I have no idea why I started this. Dean Martin would show up, and I had a whole story behind it. That Dean Martin he didn't die in 1993 or whatever. Whenever he died, he was cryogenically frozen, and then they thawed him out, and because he spent so much money to get cryogenically frozen, he was out on the street. And I came across him. I said, Dean, how you doing? And he's like, not good. So he came to stay with me. And so Dean would pop up every BTB Internet Talk Show and sing a little, answer questions, and just be Dean. And he looks, his looks have changed. He looks a lot like me now. But he has a hat. I don't know where that hat is right now. It's still in a box somewhere. But yeah, I'd really love to get something like that going again. But I just I don't know. I don't know if the magic's still there. I had so much fun doing it, and I actually made enemies doing that, which was pretty good.
What happened? What happened?
How?
Yeah. So, and this is, I think this is kind of a nationwide thing. You know, I mostly had comedians on as guests, and I'm used to comedians being able to take some um, ball busting, ribbing, and stuff like that. And so, I'd bring people on, and stuff would fly, and we'd get into each other, and we got into a few of them, and they didn't like it, and and consequently I'm blocked by a few people.
Wow.
Because of the
I was
BTB
talking about
Internet
that
Talk
the other
Show.
day because
Yeah.
Jake Jake Danger Jolly, who was a filmmaker, was on the Podathon with at the same time Derek Sheen and Carlos Valencia were on, Carlos was in particular giving Jake a little bit of ball busting. And Jake ran away, kind of. And I talked to him the next day. I said, "What happened? We were promoting your film, and you had to go." He said, "Those comedians, man, they were brutal." I was like, "That's how they show they love you. If
Yeah,
you're getting your balls busted by a comedian, he likes you. He's trying to welcome you into the fold somehow. Don't be
yeah.
hurt by that."
Yeah.
But
I'm
If they
finding it's
ignore you,
not.
that's bad.
Yeah, I'm finding it's not as easy to do anymore. I mean, people get their feelings hurt a lot easier. So,
wow,
whatever.
that's sad.
Yeah.
That's sad. I mean, we all have to, especially if you're doing something like this, you have to have a little bit of sense of humor about yourself. Kat was saying, "How do I get past my imposter syndrome or feeling like I'm faking it?" That's you have to have a kind of sense of humor about yourself, and then at the end of it, laugh at where you fuck up, laugh at your mistakes, laugh at why you are the goofy bastard you are, or whatever it is. I mean, what else is there to life? But enjoy your own weirdness. I think is part of I think how you survive in show business. I don't know.
And
What
oh
would you
my,
do?
Matt, don't we have a lot of weirdness to enjoy between the two of us?
Yes, I think so. I think so. Now, but you are still somehow tied to some corporate stuff, right? You're still doing that. Is that soul killing?
So I'm not currently, I don't currently have any regular sponsors. I'm running ads on the podcast and I get paid for that, but all of my regular sponsors have pretty much left me.
Wow.
So I'm out searching for more. I've got a meeting with the device I use to keep my head bald with those folks on Thursday. So we'll see how that goes. And I've gone after quite a few different things that I actually use. Like I shop at a web store called American Tall, and American Tall is fantastic because it's not big and tall; it's just tall. So I'm not that big.
But you're
I
cutting the potential fat guys out of your audience, or not serving. I mean, if
well,
I were a fat guy, I wanna be
there's
included with
plenty
these
of
guys.
places for them to get clothes, but there's if I go to a big and tall store, the first size is extra large and it's like a box, so it just doesn't fit me. So I found this place and I wear their clothes all the time. I'm not wearing them right now, but
I'm wearing any
whenever we go out and do stuff, I've got shirts, I got shorts, I got pants, I got everything from them. So I really gave them a big pitch in my email, and I got nothing back. And I'm like, okay, fine. I even said you could pay me in clothes if you want. I mean,
That would be
what could be better?
significant, right?
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm still searching, and it's not anything that's on fire for me, but I feel like if I can bring a sponsor on, I feel like that my podcast is good enough that it deserves a sponsor. I
Yeah,
mean that
yeah,
yeah.
I would agree with that 100%. I think you do quality work, and I think it's one. There are a lot of comedy podcasts out there, but a lot of them are just guys getting drunk and just not putting out anything of real value to anybody, and nothing that you couldn't walk into a bar somewhere and experience just exactly the same thing, even though they're not professional comedians. It's just shooting the breeze over drinks. There's nothing wrong with that if
Yeah.
that's what you're into, but I don't think that's necessarily adding value. I think you add value, especially to people who are interested in the comedy world and in the business of comedy. I think you add quite a value to people. So in that sense, sure, you should have dedicated sponsors, people who get behind you. We should talk off the air because I got something. I don't want to
Okay.
jinx it. I got something in the works that might be pretty huge business wise.
All
Uh,
right.
I know people out there like, what's he got going on? What's he got going on?
Yeah.
I can't talk about
Well, and as far as podcasts are concerned, one of the things I do is when I have a guest on, I first of all I do a lot of research and I look for all the podcasts they've been on, and sometimes they've been on in the last year they've been on 5 podcasts, and I will listen to those podcasts as long as I possibly can because
it.
they are terrible, and and some of the things they do is they have a guest on and the guest doesn't speak for the first 20 minutes because the two hosts or the one host is talking about their life, talking about inside jokes, talking about all kinds of stuff that doesn't matter. Nobody wants to hear it. I
Right.
mean, I don't want to hear your inner voice, Matt. You don't want to hear my inner voice. It's not interesting. Then they get into the guest and they talk over the guest. They don't have anything prepared. They don't know anything about the guest, and there's nothing there. So you got the inside jokes, you've got stories that don't matter, and you've got ridiculous small talk. And then maybe in an hour, if they talk for an hour, they've got 10 minutes of good stuff in there. And that's just when the guest is talking. So, I mean, when I put mine out, first of all, if I talk more than 20% of the time, that means it's not a very good one. It means that I couldn't draw that out of people and get them to talk. And second off, I don't make anything about me. My podcast doesn't have a picture of me anywhere. It doesn't have my bio anywhere. It doesn't talk about me at all because it's about them. And
I'm too much of a narcissist for that.
Yeah.
In the same breath that I say I'm a phony and a fake and imposter syndrome, I got an ego that or love for myself that I can't hide.
Yeah, I've got the same thing. It's almost like we're the same person.
We are the same person, except my glasses are rounder than yours.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think I could pull off round.
And you need a mustache. Really, if you really want to get in the game, you got to have a mustache.
You know, I did one for a while. I had a beard for a while, and then I just shaved that off and left the mustache. And I think it lasted maybe 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're
It's
coming
so
up.
gray. It's just so gray.
I have to say goodbye to Governor's Podcast. We're on the Governor's Podcast Network, which is part of it. Oop, that's them right now calling to say, get the hell off. They have to have a 15-minute window before the next show. They can't just push a button. So Tony Walker's coming up next with Knock 'em Dead Comedy. We're saying goodbye to Govs right now. We'll see you tomorrow, Govs. Be with us.